Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Parents act like the rules are just a silly inconvenience. You see, they only put those rules in place because something bad happened that got them sued. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Water Park Karen. I am a fully certified lifeguard. Here's some context. At the water park, we have a spot called zero depth because the deepest it gets is 2 feet. Zero depth also has a small slide about 5 feet long, and it levels out into the deep end. So there are always troublemakers, but these specific two were very annoying. I told them both not to go down head first because it's a safety hazard, and one of them listened. The other, not so much. So when he came back, I said to him, "Sorry, buddy, but you can't go down the slide anymore today." The kid poured, then went down the stairs. I see him talking to his mom in the hot tub. Here we go. About 3 minutes pass, then a woman comes up from behind me and taps me on the shoulder. "Excuse me?" I turn around, so excited. "Yes?" "EM, did you say my son can't go down the slide anymore?" "Yes, ma'am, I did. He broke the rules 3 times in a row, so I have to ban him." EM, but I was at the bottom watching him, and he never went down the wrong way. Meanwhile, she was in the hot tub, may I remind you. "Ma'am, I'm the lifeguard at this stand, and I know what I saw." That ticked her off. Then she came back with the classic line, "EM, I need to speak to your manager." "Go right ahead. He's in the first aid room. If you go down that ramp and take a left, you'll be right there. Oh, by the way, we have cameras. Feel free to ask to see the footage." I pointed up to the camera right behind us on a pole coming out of the wall. She just had the dumbest look on her face. EM, fine. I want to see how you're wrong. About 5 minutes pass and I see my head guard walking up to me. HG, head guard. "A mother just came up to me and said you banned her son from the slide for no reason. What happened?" That's what she says, but that isn't how it happened. What actually happened was I told the kid 3 times not to go down head first. When I told him, he listened on that ride down, but the very next ride he went down head first, every time without fail. She also wanted to see camera footage, so I don't know if HG. No, don't worry, I believe you. Thanks for telling me. Here's what we'll do. We'll let the kid go down with one more chance. If he goes down head first, ban him. That's a serious safety hazard. I was shocked because this was the same head guard that had got on my case for doing my job correctly. From then on, I was feeling pretty happy. Saw EM later on my rotation and just made a coy little wave with a smirk. Was it professional? No, but it felt damn good. And our second story. Make my friend cry and then lie about what I said in an official document? Okay, I'll play your games. This all happened my senior year of college, spanning about 6 months. I lived in a duplex where the main floor and second floor were occupied by myself and friends. Oftentimes, we'd throw parties in our incredibly large attic. One of those times, we got a noise complaint. Everyone was respectful when the cop asked us to shut things down and left no problem. All residents were 21 or 22, and we were the only ones asked to ID ourselves. Had a fine conversation with the officer, and he went on his way. Probably one of the easier incidents in a college town. While we lived off campus, any incident like this does get reported to the school. All 6 of us received a letter stating we had to go to class about drugs and alcohol because we threw a party where drugs and alcohol were supplied to minors. We could, of course, appeal this, and we did. The school only needs 51% certainty that the event occurred and how they thought it did. Seeing as everyone ID'd was 21 and there had been no drugs, we thought we had a strong case. This meant all 6 of us had to meet with the assistant dean individually to go through the events of the evening so she could ascertain what really happened. First 4 went fine, my female roommate was 5th, and I went last. She came home in tears. The assistant dean apparently tried to rip her to pieces, said she had awful friends, why not just admit we had drugs and given alcohol to minors? She stuck to her guns, but it sounded awful. I can handle that stuff, but I hate seeing people I care about go through situations like that. I went in prepared to my meeting, already hating this woman. I even had my phone recording the conversation in my shirt pocket. Single-party consent state in terms of audio recording. The conversation ended with her saying, "Why can't you just follow the rules and act like a grown-up?" A few weeks later, we all received another letter. They dropped the drugs alcohol bit due to lack of evidence, but had decided we had created an unsafe environment with only one exit. There were a few lines in the letter where student X said in the event of fire, guests would have been asked to jump out the rear window, and other completely fabricated statements. Sure, there was only one flight of stairs up to the attic, but unbeknownst to the assistant dean, we had one of those fire escape ladder window things. We appealed yet again, but the second time around, you meet with the board of peers, teachers, students, assistant dean, and the police officer that had responded to the complaint. Being a law nerd, I volunteered to go on behalf of my friends. That being said, we were allowed one person as counsel that couldn't say anything to the board but could write things down to pass on to me. Cue the following the rules, just like the assistant dean had asked. I showed up early, as did the officer. He was totally chill and getting paid overtime to show up to a meeting to do nothing instead of the usual route. Everyone shows up and the assistant dean immediately questions why I have someone with me. Well, per school code 14 subsection B, etc., I'm allowed to. This is my friend X who has a law degree. Just following the rules. We get into semantics about how dangerous our party could have been, blah blah. I get to speak last without any interruptions until I yield. Time to drop bombs. I pull out printed sheets for everyone in the room of my Amazon account showing I had purchased the fire escape ladder thing months before the party had happened, proving we had indeed had multiple exits. I then passed out copies of the letter we'd received written by the assistant dean and had highlighted all the fabrications and lies about the previous conversation I'd had with her. I recorded our entire meeting. I'd like to take time for you all to hear that. At this point, she's fuming and blurts out that what I did was illegal. The cop butts in and just gives that a big ol' nope, single-party consent for audio recording. We all listened to the full 15 to 20 minutes. So, as you can see, all rules were followed by myself and my peers, and nothing unlawful happened. Not one of the highlighted sections was actually said. The only thing that worries me is how the assistant dean openly lied as well as brought my roommate to tears. I'd ask that all charges be dropped at this time against us. She then tried to backtrack, saying she'd made grammatical errors in the letter, but everyone was smart enough to see the difference between wrong form of your and telling people to jump out of a window. A few weeks later, we all received another letter stating we were good and no further action would be taken. I then went out of my way almost daily to walk through the admin offices where the assistant dean's office was to give her a wave and a smile. I must agree, the assistant dean crossed the line here and needed to either be terminated or at the very least torn several new ones without a warning that's even remotely like this happens again. They'll be tossed so fast their feet won't hit the ground. And our last story. Karen stole my rental car. I was staying at a hotel with mandatory valet parking. After checking out, my wife and I went to pick up the car and saw the exact same make, model, color vehicle we had rented pulling away. We joked that it was our car. The valet attendant goes to retrieve our vehicle and pulls up with a vehicle with the same make, color, but different model. We immediately let him know, and he checks the ticket, keys, and cars in the lot. And it was at that point we all realized the valet had gotten our car swapped with Karen's. We did, in fact, watch her pull away in our rental car. Karen somehow didn't realize that the car she was now driving had a full-body makeover, somehow had grown 2 additional doors, and had a weaker engine. Her new rental was also missing some of her belongings. The hotel contacted Karen to let her know of the valet's mistake within 10 minutes, and she indicated she would return immediately. Based on Karen's location, it should have taken her a maximum of 20 to 30 minutes to return. Long highway bridge with limited exits/turnaround opportunities. After an hour elapsed, Karen had not returned with the car and the police were called. The hotel contacted Karen again, and she said she was a few minutes away. The police said this was not a stolen vehicle issue and to call back if the car isn't returned or is damaged. Another 30 minutes elapsed and Karen was still joyriding in our rental car, so we contacted the police again and they dispatched a unit to take statements. Karen again told the hotel she was just a few minutes away after another phone call. The officer arrived about 15 minutes later and called Karen. She was told to have the car back in 10 minutes or it'd be reported as stolen. When asked about why she was taking so long to return, She indicated that the hotel didn't notify her about the error until she was in a town about 45 minutes away. We know this to be a lie based on her earlier conversations with the hotel and the fact that we saw her pull away. Karen finally returned with the rental car after about 2 hours. She blew up at the valet attendant over having the police involved. She didn't realize it was actually my wife and I that had called them, and it could have been avoided if she had immediately returned. She quickly swapped keys out and drove off in the correct vehicle, avoiding interaction with the officer. We thoroughly inspected the vehicle and noted no damage, but she did burn about a third a tank of gas and left an apple core and other garbage inside. The officer explained to us that during his call, Karen stated she had decided not to return immediately after being contacted by the hotel. She didn't want to be further inconvenienced by the valet's error and ran her errands, despite knowing that other hotel guests were waiting on her to return the rental car. He was surprised by her entitlement, but said that she did nothing criminal. The hotel and valet took full responsibility for the situation and appropriately reimbursed us for the inconvenience, aside from the lost time. The officer provided an event number and indicated that any further action would be civil in nature and between us and the valet company. No action taken against Karen. While the fault lies with the valet attendant, I just can't wrap my mind around how oblivious one must be to take the wrong rental car and the sense of entitlement one must have to run your errands after being notified of the vehicle swap. How is taking a car that you know isn't yours for 2 whole hours not criminal? Karen should certainly have returned and had a laugh, though. Everyone's so uptight these days. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.